Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Natoya and I'm here to help you start budget traveling. So in this video guys, I'm going to talk all about how to spend a month in Croatia. So guys, I initially planned on spending just 10 days in Croatia, but after doing more and more research, I realized I need about a month just to get to know this country, and that month ended up being 6.5 weeks. So there's just so much to see and do and just so many yummy foods to eat in Croatia. If you're interested in spending a month in Croatia, I'm just going to give you some tips on how to do that. And in about a week, I'm creating a video, a step-by-step guide on how to plan your trip to Croatia. If it's not already linked in the description, it should be coming out in about a week. But make sure you check out my playlist all about how to travel in Croatia. I go into detail on everything from booking an Airbnb to eating on a budget. There's just so many videos there. Be sure to check that out in the description and I'll link it above. Before we begin, make sure you download my checklist on how to plan a trip to Croatia on a tight budget. It's linked in the description. So guys, if you are thinking about coming to Croatia for a month, I highly recommend it because there's just so much to see and do. And on top of all that, it's so affordable to travel in Croatia. Your money goes so far in Croatia on activities, on food, on dining out, on going to the bar, going to the grocery store. On top of all of that, the hospitality is amazing. The service here in Croatia is amazing. It's the best I've ever experienced in any country that I've went to. So that was definitely a bonus. And what made Croatia so easy to travel around for this month was that everyone speaks English. Okay, not everyone, but 95% of the people I met, anyone under like the age of 40 definitely speaks English. So because most people speak English, it's so easy to get around Croatia, to learn more about the culture, have conversations. It was just an overall better experience because there wasn't a communication barrier. So the first step I have to tell you is to go off season. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Croatia is such an affordable country to visit, but when you travel off season, it's even more cheaper and your money goes even further. So I made a video 22 or 23 tips for new travelers in Croatia. I'll link that above, where I talk about how everything costs a bit more because of all the tourists there. So for example, the admissions to Krka National Park was literally double the price during the summertime. And of course, during off season, your Airbnbs will be cheaper, the flights will be cheaper. So just consider traveling to Croatia during the off season just so your money could go even further. And if you do want to have like a beach vacation, if you want to have like a Mediterranean summer, why don't you come during the earlier summer where there's less tourists and the prices will still be good. My next tip is when planning out your month, I recommend that you either stay in one place for that entire month, like a city that you're so interested in, stay in one place and just really get to know that city and experience it, or go to 4 different cities for each week in the month. I do not recommend traveling really fast, like staying in one place for 3 days, one place for 4 days. I never recommend traveling like that unless you have to, unless you don't have a lot of time. And the reason why I recommend traveling so slowly is so that you can really get to know the place. In most of the cities that I went to, I stayed for at least a week. In Split, I stayed for 2.5 weeks. Pula, I stayed for a week. In Zagreb, I stayed for a week. In Split, 2.5 weeks. But in the city outside of Zadar, I stayed for 3 days. But if I had to do it all over again for the 6 weeks, I would stay in one city for a week so that I can really get to know the place and not just have time to see all of the touristy sites. And when picking places to stay in Croatia, I do highly recommend that you go to less touristy places. So, for example, we went to Pula. That was definitely a less touristy place. But also try staying in small towns. For example, we stayed outside of Zadar. We stayed in a town called Bibijni. I can't pronounce it, but I'll show you some pictures of it. It was such a cute little town with friendly people, and it had beaches. Just like many cities in Croatia, it had beaches, but the beaches was with less people. And you can always do like what we did and stay in a small town outside of a big city like Zadar or Dubrovnik. And when you're in that city or town for a week or a month, just do lots of research so that you don't miss out. So for example, when I was in Zagreb, I just learned about so many different yummy Croatian foods that I was missing out on. and I could only have learned this through research. My next tip is to be sure to get recommendations from local people. For example, if you're at the bakery, you can simply ask the cashier or whoever what's something popular that people buy. If you're at the supermarket, you can just ask questions to get local recommendations, because that's also a part of the experience here in Croatia. You want to feel and see how Croatians are living and how they're doing things. The next tip is to don't bother renting a car. Just take the flexi bus from one major city to another. So I made a whole video about traveling around Croatia on the bus. I'll link it above, and it's in the playlist below. If you're going from one major city to the next, the best and cheapest way to do it is just to take the long distance bus or the flexi bus. It's way cheaper. For example, you can get from Split to Dubrovnik for just about $11 or $12. In my opinion, I just think renting a car is a waste of money, because you have to pay for that car, you have to pay for insurance, you have to pay for gas, when you can literally just hop on the flexi bus for $12 and get to a major city. And also, I said it in that video before, driving in Croatia is a little bit tricky. Croatians, they have their own like unspoken rules of driving, and it's kind of scary here to drive. It's not that crazy, but someone with a little bit of driving anxiety, it would make me nervous driving here in Croatia. And don't worry about getting around on a daily, because you can find a very affordable Airbnb in the city center or wherever you want to be, that you can easily walk to destinations that you're interested in. And on top of that, the Ubers here are crazy cheap. Don't have to be worried about traveling around on a daily. And I do highly recommend you book an Airbnb when here in Croatia, because you get to live with the locals and you get to experience Croatia on a whole different level. I'll link that video above and below on how to book an affordable Airbnb in Croatia. When you're staying in an Airbnb in like a local community, you get to go to the local supermarkets, bakeries, and just experience Croatia on a different level, like as opposed to being right in the city center, like right near Diocletian's Palace, for example, being in the tourist bubble. And also, when you stay for a week at a time or a month at a time, you get a better rate at Airbnb. Many of the hosts prefer that you stay longer, so they'll give you a weekly discount to stay longer or a monthly discount to stay longer. So for example, this Airbnb I'm in right now, that I'm here for a month, we got a 50% discount just because we're staying here for a month. My next tip is to eat lots and lots of Croatian food here. It's so affordable, and there's such a variety of foods because of all the influences. So you have your Mediterranean dishes, and then you have like your heavier like Eastern European dishes, like the heavy meats. There's just so many different types of food here, and they're so reasonable. Also, I made a video about how to eat in Croatia, linked above and below. And I gave you some tips on the things you should eat here and my favorite things to eat here. But if you just need some tips here and just want to know how to eat in Croatia on a budget, be sure to check out that video. So the groceries here are reasonable. You can go to the bakery in the morning and get fresh bread, fresh pastries. So while you're in Croatia here for a month, be sure to enjoy the affordable, delicious foods. My next tip is to at least book 1 or 2 tours in Croatia. Now, the tours here are super affordable, and I felt like I definitely got a value for my money. So we took a 3-hour food tour in Zagreb, and we ate so many different foods that's popular in the north. And it was so much fun, and we learned all about Croatian cuisine, and our tour guide was so friendly. We learned so many other things about Croatia. And that tour, I'll link that tour below, but it was so affordable. And what was awesome about that tour is that we were the only people on the tour, because Croatia still doesn't have a lot of tourists because of COVID. So we got that kind of like VIP experience. And also when we were in Pula, we booked a dolphin watching tour. And that tour also included dinner, endless wine, and we stopped at a little island to go swimming on the beach. And that tour was literally like $25 per person. Amazing. And of course, you can book free walking tours for many different cities in Croatia. I'll link that in the description as well. But make sure you book those affordable tours. My favorite website for tours is Get Your Guide. So be sure to check out those affordable tours and of course do your free tours. Don't worry, the tours are not as expensive as you may think compared to other cities like London and Paris. Next, make sure you pack everything you'll need for that month. So I don't want to scare you. Croatia, you'll find 99% of everything you would need. You'll find it right here in Croatia. Don't worry about that. But there are just some things that are difficult to find. For example, it's difficult here to find tampons. It's here, but it's just a pain in the butt. So I just recommend you just bringing enough tampons for the month. Also, like your favorite painkillers. It's not impossible to find ibuprofen, but I just prefer Advil or Tylenol. Again, don't worry too much because so many people speak English here. It's just so easy to just go to the pharmacy and get what you need, go to the grocery store and get what you need. But I'm just recommending that the things that you are very particular about, make sure you pack it. And I made a video on what to pack in Croatia. I'll link that above and in the description below. I talk about things that you should pack in Croatia. And I'm not talking about like everyday things that you already know. So be sure to check out that video. So guys, I hope this video helped. Again, I'm coming out with a step-by-step guide on booking a budget-friendly trip to Croatia, including getting a cheap flight and all that jazz. So be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out videos. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.